everyone, today we're going to look at my November favorites, and I've got a few watercolors which I think I will do last because I've got something exciting to show you. And then I've got a liquid watercolors, which technically are not the traditional sense of a watercolor because they're dye based, but they are super fun to work with. And then I've got some of these oil pastels, so I'll probably, not pastels, oil sticks. That's a difference between oil pastels and oil stick, is that oil stick is actually, it dries within either, well, depending on the brand, but anywhere from 24 hours, even less, to up to a couple of days. Whereas oil pastels, they don't dry, they stay, you know, soft to the touch, and you can sort of move them unless you set them with a fixative, and even then I'm not sure how dry they get. So let's start with these oil sticks. Now I just had a little peek into the last month's favorites because I couldn't remember what it was, and I didn't want to pick out the same thing if I enjoyed it again. So for instance, I was going to include the Dusk Yellow by Rembrandt, but I decided not to do it because I included it already last month, and this month I actually also quite enjoyed and discovered a couple other colors, so I'm just going to focus on those without sort of trying to repeat too much stuff and be quite sort of honest with things that I used most. You'll see there isn't much this time, so yeah, that's just what it is. So I'm going to go ahead and use these. So this is the oil stick by Shiva, and this color is Dusty Rose. It is just so pretty. So with these colors, like I mentioned before, what you need to do is you need to grab a tissue and then just, there you go, rub off that very thin film from the tip of it, where you can see it starts gliding and you get the pigment. So once you've got that going, then they're ready to use. So these dry really fast. Now, someone told me not to blend the oil sticks with finger. This was so depressing to hear because I love working with them. That's one of the major things what I love about them, is the tactile feeling. So I don't know, and I've seen another artist use their finger with the Shiva, so I don't know. But someone also, or quite a few of my viewers, recommended to use brushes, like oil paint brushes with, you know, hog bristles, or let me just grab them here. So this type of a brush. And I tried this little one last night, and I have to say, I did not enjoy it. I did not enjoy working with brushes. With the oil sticks, I haven't tried it with the Shivas, but I tried it with the Senneliers, and I am not a big fan. So today, I am going to try one of these kind of silicone tools, see whether that can mimic my finger a bit better because it has more of a rubbery grip, whether I can get more of an effect with this one. So the reason I love working with my fingers with these oil sticks is because, and I try not to keep it for too long on my fingers, try to kind of wash it off fairly quickly, is because you get this beautiful blending effect. So if I show you here, I've done this last night, this is a new color. I kind of wanted to almost cheat and include it, but I can't because I literally bought it a few days ago, so technically I don't think I should include it in November favorites because I haven't been using it throughout most part of the month. So there are a few things that I discovered towards the end of the month, but I will share it in a different video with you. So yeah, absolutely love. So here I use just two colors and blending it with my finger. You can see how pretty it just blends. And here is, I kind of use the brush. It's a different game, like it's a different ball game in general. So yeah, let's see whether this tool will help. So this was like my all-time favorite color this month. I absolutely loved it, putting in different color palettes, etc. Now I picked two colors here. I mean, this is like my favorite color this month from the Sennelier Oil Sticks. But I also picked this one because it's so intense and it's so gorgeous. I just love them together or separately. And I also wanted to include this one because blending them together with the Antique White, it just, you can use this Antique White with any color. That's the Antique White that I just showed you with that violet magenta type of a color. So you can blend it beautifully into other colors. Now, this one, similar thing. So just to wake it up, so just like that, and we're going to go into this one. So that's a very interesting color. And this is the Mars Yellow. Let me see with my little tool. No, it's just not the same. Not using my finger kind of takes away the joy and the fun of these paints. So, I don't know. Okay, so I'm just going to do that. And you can see I wiped it straight away. And then, so this is a transparent color. And then Indigo Blue is super intense. You'll see it in a minute. Look at that. So straight out of the stick, it's like black. But you need to blend it out to see how beautiful it is. I mean, I love it at the full intensity as well, but then you don't get to see the color. And then the color that I really like using together with these two is the Antique White, like I just said. So let me just wipe off the pink from before, like that. And so if I just blend them two together just to show you, in fact, let me do a trio here, like that, and then just blend them together a little. They blend beautifully. I mean, just like oil paint. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? The colors that you get, I mean, it's like stunning the way they blend. Yeah, so love them. I'm gonna go wash my hands straight away now. Okay, so let me show you a nice close-up of this beauty. I mean, you can't achieve exactly the same thing with oil pastels. It's just a different product, and I absolutely love them. I mean, I was so excited to discover it because it's uncomparable. And the main difference is I put a video together where I'm actually comparing Sennelier to Shiva's. At the start, I'll be quite honest, I wasn't too impressed with the Senneliers. But once this sort of was the first impression kind of thing. But once I started using them, especially after I saw how they dry and the satin finish that they dry to, I really fell in love with them. And I don't have like favorite one over the other now. I love both of the Shivas and Senneliers for different purpose. Like they're very similar in what they do, but Shiva dries completely matte and has that like an, you know, a rougher texture. You can build up beautiful texture with it, and it dries completely matte and textural, whereas these dry with a very smooth, and you can still build up texture, but it's a different feeling to it. It's got that sort of satin finish, which is quite pretty, and I love both of them. So there you go. So that's that. Now let's look into watercolors. So in terms of watercolor, I'm going to first show you these two. So for this month, I added a couple of new colors, but I'm going to include just these two because I feel that they are fantastic going into December. They're great for those of you who are preparing your Christmas cards. The colors are very festive, very poppy. I mean, I don't know how you feel about the color palette for this year, but boy, oh boy, I need some color because this year has been dreadful in so many ways that I need color. I want the December to be about, you know, popping color. So I'm going to show you what happens if you blend them two together, because you know traditionally if you do this with watercolor you're going to get a beautiful grey. Now let's see what happens here. Okay, so there's a beautiful actually turquoise that you get. I don't know if you can see, like a blue turquoise rather than a grey, so that's quite interesting. And if I take a brush, well actually I don't need to take a brush, basically the colors you get, I'll just show you in here. So if you water it out, this is what it's going to look like. Here I just used a bit of white gouache mixing it with, so you can get more of a opaque color. And then the pink was this one, so you can get to like lighter colors like that. And yeah, so that's that. So the color wise they're called, what's this one? This one is Bluish Green, and this one is Fuchsia. And then that's the kind of beautiful color you get in between. Because they're dye, they move into each other really beautifully, and it's just very different to a traditional watercolor. If you haven't tried them, I highly advise you do. So moving on to watercolors now. I have really enjoyed from my own palette, which there has been a restock. I don't know, by the time this video comes out it might have been sold out again, but basically from my Handmade vegan, these are vegan watercolors, I really enjoyed this Mars Violet. It has such a beautiful depth to it, and I just want to show you. So you can get it really dark and really intense, but equally, let me see, you can water it out, and then in fact the more water you use, the more granulating it becomes. And it makes a really beautiful skin tone, whether you go the darkest or the lightest. Also, once it dries, there's a duochrome shimmer to it. Very, very fine, so nothing chunky at all. So here you go, I hope you can see. There's a green kind of, and a bit of a pinky lilac-y type of a shimmer to it. And I personally find it really beautiful. So you can see now it's starting to granulate. It has at this point here similar kind of character to Potter's Pink. So if you like Potter's Pink, I think you would really enjoy this one. Into that, I want to show you, I have really enjoyed using, a lot of you have asked me what it is on Instagram, and when I do my posts there. So this is the Acrylic ink by Liquitex, Iridescent Bright Gold. So what I do is you just need the tiniest amount. This in fact will be way too much, so I'll just drop it next to it. Then what you do is you take a brush, make sure it's not too wet, and just kind of work it in. It works beautifully with watercolor. So I'm just going to swatch it here. And it dries beautifully opaque, so at the minute it may look a bit streaky, but it needs to settle, so let it settle a bit. And where the watercolor is more wet, it's just going to dilute into it, and just become so pretty. So let's leave it at that. Sometimes I like moving it around, adding a bit more watercolor, just playing with it. So that's another great one. Now there are two colors which I totally want to include because they're very pretty, and again very great for this time of the year. So this is Copper, I believe. Yeah, Copper by Rembrandt. It is like a copper coin. It's so pretty, and again perfect for this time of the year if you want to spice up your illustrations or Christmas cards or anything that you're doing. It's just super pretty. And I'll show you once it's dried. Then this color I need to mix it in with something else because otherwise you're just not going to see it very well. This is a great, like a frosty color. It looks very much like dried kind of water droplets on leaves or something like that. So in fact, I've done a tutorial which I'll link up here for, what was it called? Something like festive botanicals or leafy botanicals, something like that. And basically I used this color mixing in with greens and it looked so pretty. It just gave that kind of frosty look. So again, perfect for this time of the year. And I'm just going to drop a little drop here just to reactivate it. It's got chunky shimmer in there, and it's got a like a 3-color blend. So it goes from gold, blue, gold, green to blue. And the last color, if you manage to see it at a certain angle, depending how you're rotating it, the blue is just so gorgeous. So I'm thinking what color to demo it with. Maybe I'll use the this color here, I can't pronounce it, hold on, it's such a long name. Green yellow. So let me just pretend this is the green we're going to use for like a Christmas tree or something. So I'm just going to add it. I mean, it works beautifully as a color palette here. So now I'm going to go into this shimmer and look at that. Hope you can see it, how beautiful this is. And then just into here, I mean, look at this. It also has this sort of pushing effect a little bit. So look at this stunning thing here. I'm just going to hopefully, while it's wet, you should be able to see how pretty it is. But once it dries, that's when the whole beauty comes through. I mean, it's just gorgeous. This color is a must-have. It's called Chameleon, and there are a number of chameleons, and this is the gold, green, blue color. I'm just going to take this out, what's on my brush, just to show you a very kind of light color here. So it's almost kind of turned it into a more yellow color, and then if I wanted to, I could just create a little texture here, bring a bit more color into it, just something different to that, you know. And now let's go, I hope I left enough space here, yeah. Let's go. So I always try to link everything down below for your convenience to find things, so I'm going to do the same in this video. So this is from that Schmincke gift set, which I don't know if that video came out yet or not, but I did swatch this set out in the, well, I have a separate video where I'm swatching it out, so I'll try to link that for you. So this is the Glassier limited edition super granulating color set. It's got Glassier Blue, Glassier Turquoise, Glassier Green, Glassier Brown, and Glassier Black. I have to say that I love, my favorite are these three. So the Glassier Green, Glassier Brown, and Glassier Black, although it's a great set altogether. But my top favorite, because I think it's a very unique color, haven't seen it anywhere else before, is the Glassier Green. So let's swatch that out. Now with these colors you need very little, but I've got enough space here, so I'm just gonna play around a little. And when it comes out, it almost looks like it's got some white on there, but it doesn't. It has more of a cobalt feel to it. Okay, so let's go. Okay, so things are more or less fully dry, and here they are. So I'm going to bring them closer in so you can really look at textures and things. So obviously we've got different textures and finishes, and that's what makes it more interesting for me. So we've got the kind of creamy oiliness going on the top. Then we have the brighter, more saturated colors that can be used separately as popping colors in your projects. So there is a video that should have come out last week. I'll try to pop it in here. It's about, I put a really long video, it's a 2-part video, which should be a course on its own, but basically I'm giving it for free to you because I think you will learn so much of it. But I will be making a more detailed course on that. So that's just a little kind of preview of what you'll get in the course and more. In more in-depth kind of learning, but basically there I'm looking at a color palette. So I'm explaining how I bring colors together and how I use them for a more balanced and contemporary minimal color palette, which I think kind of makes the colors stand out and pop even further, rather than if you use too many colors at the same go in the same kind of painting. But again, that's just different styles. Nothing wrong with one or the other. It's just, you know, the preference that I have and the comfort and yeah, just it kind of feels more settled to me when I use less colors and think about them beforehand. So here we go. These are the bluish green and the fuchsia that are popping. And then really interestingly, if you, like I said, if you would have mixed those two colors in watercolors, as in pigmented watercolors, you would get a gray in between, and usually quite a beautiful gray. Here, however, we're getting a beautiful turquoise blue, which is quite interesting. It's sort of quite dimensional. It's sort of leaning towards purple and blues, so you can get a more of a purple if you add more of the fuchsia and less of the bluish green, and then vice versa. If you add the other one more, then you get more of a blue tone. Mars Violet, so now you can see this beautiful sheen that comes through. And then here's the gold that settled into it. Quite an interesting effect. And you can see it can look full-on opaque if you use it on its own for details. Equally giving you a lovely option here for Christmas cards or whatever you're planning to do. This is a beautiful copper. As far as copper goes, I haven't seen as beautiful of a copper as this one. You can even build it up more if you wanted to, but this is just from one swatch and it's quite beautiful. Now, the very exciting part here is the Chameleon Blue Green Gold, which I layered over the top of Azomethine Green Yellow, both by Rembrandt's Watercolors. So I'm hoping you can pick up on how pretty this looks, and depending on which angle you look, you get through these 3 different colors, so the blue, green and gold. And then the Glacier Green, so now that it's dry you can see how pretty it is. It's got some sort of like a muted violet type of a gray with what seems like a cobalt turquoise or a cobalt teal. Super granulating and gorgeous. Now let's see what happens if we layer that chameleon color over it, and it just looks beautiful. So if you look straight onto it, it already created a nice texture, and then if you start tilting it, oh my goodness, it's just so pretty with this color. It seems to bring out the blue a lot more, because when I'm looking at it at here, I'm seeing green right now. Here it's dead on blue, and I don't know if I can show it to you, whether that will pick up on the camera. So that's how I'm seeing or looking at it, and I can pick up on the blue. I wonder if you can too. So it's gorgeous. So it seems that the trick is, depending on what color you layer it, the color will come through. And here I just played around using a bit more of the gold. So that's it for November favorites. I hope it inspired you with some colors, and you might use them for your festive projects. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.